Once upon a time in the history of breastfeeding, all mothers breastfed their infants, unless they were very rich. For example, the lady in the castle had a wet nurse for her babies, a woman who had previously had a child and continued her milk production by feeding other infants. The common folk all breastfed and had their babies with them as they worked, so natural breastfeeding took place as the normal course of life. With the Industrial Revolution, people moved from the country to the towns to find work in the factories. The long hours and cheap labour of the women led to a change in the way babies were fed. Wet nurses became commonplace, feeding many infants with their own breast milk. The popularity of the wet nurse led to the development of infant formula. By the time of World War II, cow's milk products were widely accepted as the proper, civilised food for infants. After the war, bottle feeding was promoted as the modern way to nourish babies, not only by the infant formula industry, but by hospitals, nurses, nutritionists and the popular press. During the early part of the women's movement, breastfeeding was viewed as old-fashioned and restricting, and by the early 1950s, formula was the norm for babies. However, there was a change of attitude in the 1960s as growing scientific evidence showed that breastfeeding provided unique health benefits for infants and the trend for bottle feeding was reversed. In the year 2000, Parliament supported a baby-friendly framework to encourage the development of breastfeeding. Today, about 2/3 of women breastfeed at some point after their baby's birth.